I do think the difference though with Canelo, because Canelo started his professional career when he was around 17, and he'd had about 30 fights before he fought Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah.
And I think he was only 23 years old when he fought Mayweather.
Oh, right.
So his head movement now in his last few world title fights is, he's on a different level. I think if he did fight Mayweather now, when Mayweather was at his peak, it would be. I'm not saying it would be a different story, but he was taken to school when he fought him when he was 23. Whereas now, after having another 20 fights, for me now, he's obviously the Golovkin fights, as you said, he should have lost them. But I think he's come on another level again since then. His last few fights, it's a who's who when you look at his resume of who he's fought in his last 10 fights. We come on to him now, smoothly moving on to Canelo's fight on the weekend against Yildirim. I think you can't look past anyone really, but I think you win it quite comfortably, and then we can really start talking about Andreas, or fingers crossed Billy Joe Saunders. I think he's the only one who could. There's only one result for Saunders, and if he wins, he can only win on points. I can't see anybody knocking out Canelo,
No, definitely not.
because Golovkin is one of the biggest hitters in boxing of any weight.
Yeah.
And if he couldn't put him down in 24 rounds, Saunders ain't going to do it. But Saunders' skill is slick. It's as slick as as Canelo. His head movement is fantastic. But we've never seen Billy Joe Saunders in any sort of trouble whatsoever. So that would be my question mark. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. You allude to how Canelo's done recently. I think it was at Danny Jacobs he fought at the turn of the year. Then he went up and knocked out Sergey Kovalev. Went up to, was it light heavyweight or cruiserweight? It's crazy. And then dropped back down, took all of Callum Smith's marbles off him, poor lad. Like you said, this is to me just a tune-up fight for Billy Joe Saunders. I think the whole free agency thing where he's broken away from Golden Boy, of course, getting away from creepy Oscar in his coked up suspenders. It's been really good because it just allows the proper matchmaking to happen in boxing that often gets sort of pushed to the side for all the politics and the beefs between, the WBC want this mandatory matchup, but the WBA have said you've got 6 weeks to announce a fight with this guy or it's going to purse bids, blah, blah, blah. So I just think boxing's really, this is probably one of the best things that could happen for Canelo in these divisions. And
well, he's signed with Matchroom now, isn't he?
Yeah, is it a 3-fight? I think this is is this the second of a 3-fight deal or the first of a 3-fight deal?
Whichever it is, it's going to make it a lot easier to make the fight with Billy Joe Saunders. Yeah. Obviously, because he's MTK, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
Saunders. So I think, and they've got a good relationship. So I think it could be a good, because they're looking at May. He's very, very active, Canelo. He's having three fights. It wasn't an easy fight against Smith because it did go, quite a few rounds. He didn't get tagged at all, and he won it easily. But any fight that you have that lasts 6 rounds or more, it's going to take a little bit of a toll on you. But then to come back a few months later and fight again, and I know that they're looking at May, Cinco de Mayo, the Mexicans' Day for Billy Joe Saunders fight. So that would be a great fight. But it depends. Is Saunders fighting soon? I haven't seen any anything of an up and coming fight, and I would have thought he'd want to be looking at getting something before May as well. And if it's not in February, there's not enough time. I know that when he fought his last fight, he was very good. He looked really sharp. Or did he fight? What was his last fight? Didn't he fight a British guy? Yeah, he did.
I think so.
Fought
Martin
Murray.
Martin Murray, that's it.
Yeah, so he beat Martin Murray very comfortably. And obviously he's had 3 or 4 world title fights against, very, very good fighters. And he won that quite easily. Because in the fight before, he was very lackluster. His timing was off because he hadn't fought for a long time. I love Billy Joe Saunders. I think he's a great character. As as long as he keeps off Twitter. And I think he's brilliant for boxing. He's a bit like he's Tyson Fury's stablemate, and they train together.
Yeah.
So I think they rub off with each other. But I think he's fantastic for boxing. So hopefully that can be made up in May. But the fight obviously tomorrow on Saturday night it's. I saw them facing off in the American football stadium. He's a taller guy, but so was Callum Smith. Callum Smith was much bigger.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's not going to worry him. I'm looking past that fight. I'm looking forward to hopefully the Billy Joe Saunders fight in May.
Definitely. I mean, the only time I've seen Yildirim before was it's World Boxing Super Series. I think they called it the Ali Trophy. He lost to Eubank Jr. I think it was a semi-final match. So I'm sure he's improved since then. But I think he lost his last fight, and he was the mandatory challenger for this one. I don't think he's actually won a fight since maybe 2019. I'm not entirely sure. You'll have to fact check that. But I just really don't get how people can get made a mandatory challenger. I don't get how anyone can get a title shot off a loss in general, but how can a sort of organisation order like, yeah, he looked a bit rough last time out, but I reckon on another day, crack of the champ, he'll do it. It just doesn't really, I don't see him getting past 6 rounds, maybe, possibly less, with how active Canelo's been as well.
Yeah, I don't know much about him as same as you. But if he lost against Eubank Jr. in this, obviously in the semis, he went on to beat was it George Groves?
I think Groves beat Eubank, didn't he?
Yeah, he beat him, didn't he? So he's another one that's his name has taken him further than his boxing ability justifies. But no, you're right. World title fight, it should be somebody in the top couple. To make it mandatory, and if he's had a couple of losses, he shouldn't really be there. And if it's a tune-up fight, then it should be a tune-up fight, and your titles aren't on the line, and it's giving him probably a decent payday. But yeah, it's just a tune-up fight, ready for May. So it'd be interesting, but I probably won't get up in the middle of the night to watch it.
No.
Look at it on the next day. But yeah, no, it's been good.